Rich CEO saw his ex-wife dressed as a military man with triplets and instantly regretted leaving her. Welcome, my wonderful listener. Before we begin today's story, let me ask, how have you been since our last time together? I truly hope your heart has stayed open to the little miracles of life. If you love deeply emotional, soul-shifting stories like this one, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who believes in second chances. And hey, have you ever walked away from something, only to realize it was everything? Think about that. And now, let's begin. Preston Langford's name was etched in gold across the skyscraper in Midtown. A man of wealth, precision, and absolute control, he walked like a king among mortals. Every day, his elevator stopped at the 52nd floor. His assistant, Margot, handed him espresso and updates. Today was no different, except it was Veterans Day. Preston, Margot said, trailing him with an iPad, City Hall wants you front and center for the tribute. As the biggest donor, your presence would make headlines. He sighed. I'm a businessman, not a patriot. You were married to a soldier once, she said softly. His jaw tightened. She wasn't a soldier then, he replied, voice cold. But his hand shook slightly as he grabbed the coffee. She wasn't a soldier. She was Lena, soft eyes, stubborn heart, impossible dreams. And when she gave him an ultimatum, choose me or your empire. He walked away. Just like that. 3 hours away, Lena tied her boots in a small beige apartment, triplets tugging at her camouflage pants. Mama. Look, one held a crayon drawing, 3 kids holding a flag. In the corner, a figure, tall, in a suit, with no face. Her chest clenched. Beautiful, baby. Outside, the city prepared for the military tribute parade. Lena, now Staff Sergeant Carter, was scheduled to lead the final march. Her uniform hugged her curves. Her eyes, once soft, were sharper now. Not bitter. Just, worn. 3 kids. 2 deployments. 1 shattered heart. But she still smiled for them. She always did. Back in the city, Preston arrived at the tribute late. The mayor gave him a front row seat, right across from the ceremonial march path. Phones buzzed. Cameras flashed. A hush fell. And then she appeared. Dressed in full military gear. Saluting. Leading the cadence. And behind her, 3 identical children, holding hands, walking proudly in line. Triplets. Something dropped inside him. Time warped. He stood. Preston? Margot asked. But he was already walking, fast, panicked, unblinking, toward the crowd. The crowd clapped. He couldn't move. Lena's eyes flicked to him. And in that split second, she didn't flinch. But the triplets turned. And one whispered, that's the man from the picture. Have you ever made a choice that felt right in the moment, but later haunted you? What would you say to the person you left behind? Backhand index pointing down, let me know in the comments. Let's talk about regret and second chances. The wind picked up as Lena led the platoon down the city avenue. Her boots struck the pavement in rhythm, clean, sharp, purposeful. Preston couldn't breathe. The triplets, 2 boys and a girl, marched proudly behind her, mini camouflage jackets swaying as they walked. His legs buckled. He steadied himself on the barrier rail. Margot whispered, Preston. Are those? He didn't answer. Lena was 10 feet away now. She stopped. Saluted. The ceremony paused. Her eyes flicked once more toward him, calculated, unreadable. The triplets noticed him again. The smallest boy pointed. Is that him? He asked Lena. She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward, whispered something in the mayor's ear, and nodded once. And then, she walked straight toward Preston. Mr. Langford, she said, crisp and cold as she removed her cap. Didn't expect to see you supporting the troops. Preston looked like he'd seen a ghost and the ghost just punched him in the gut. Lena. You, kids. Are they? Mine, she said. He blinked. And mine. She smiled. Not warmly. You tell me. The triplets stood behind her, wide-eyed. One clung to her pant leg. Another stared up at Preston with terrifying familiarity. Preston's mouth opened. Closed. Lena glanced at the reporters gathering nearby. Not here, she whispered. If you care at all about privacy, for their sake. Then, louder, excuse me. I have duties. And just like that, she walked away. Back in his penthouse, Preston stood by the window, drink untouched. The memory of Lena in uniform wouldn't leave him. She had his eyes. That little girl. And the boys, same hair, same chin. His mother's chin. He leaned over the bar, chest tight. Why didn't she tell him? Or did he just never look back? He remembered the day he left. She had cried, begged, even. Said she wanted children. Said he'd miss more than he could imagine. He didn't believe her. He thought love could wait. That legacy came first. Now, legacy felt like a cruel joke. Back in her apartment, Lena peeled off her uniform. Her back ached, her heart didn't. Not anymore. She tucked the kids into bed. They were quiet, unusually so. Mama, the little girl said, that man, he looked like me. Lena sat beside her. You're smart. Is he, Daddy? Lena stared at the wall. No, she said softly. He used to be someone I loved. But he chose other things. The little girl was quiet, but her hand found Lena's. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. A knock. Late. Unexpected. She opened the door just enough. Preston stood there, suit slightly wrinkled, rain clinging to his hair. I need to talk, he said. You lost that right, she replied. Just 5 minutes. She didn't move. The hallway was quiet. The air between them was not. I saw them, he said. They looked perfect. Like you. She blinked slowly. They're strong. Because they had to be. And me? You were a ghost. He took a step closer. Were they, mine? Her silence was long. Heavy. Then, finally. You really don't know? He shook his head. I wanted to, he said. I just didn't know how to come back. Her voice cracked. Then maybe you should have never left. She shut the door. And this time, he didn't try to stop her. What would you do if someone you loved deeply returned after walking away from everything? Could you forgive them, or is some silence permanent? Share your thoughts below. You never know who needs to read your perspective. The morning after the doorstep moment, Lena stood at the kitchen counter, staring at her phone. Preston had texted her twice. I'm not asking for anything. Just the truth. I want to meet them. Please. She typed a reply. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. The kids were at school. The silence in the apartment felt like judgment. She remembered all the nights she cried alone during her pregnancy. How she once emailed him, we need to talk. He never replied. Why should she open that door again? Even if he regretted everything now. Regret doesn't raise children. In his office, Preston stared blankly at a sales report. The numbers didn't matter anymore. His empire? Sterile. Lifeless. He used to see power in polished marble, in six-figure deals. Now all he saw was loneliness. The kind that echoes even when the room is full. He pulled out an old photo from his drawer. Lena. 7 years ago. Laughing at a picnic. God, she was beautiful. He ran a thumb over the corner where the picture was torn. He'd ripped himself out of it long ago. He wanted it back. But what right did he have? That weekend, Lena took the triplets to the park. She saw Preston at a distance. He was there, across the playground. Just watching. Not approaching. Not interrupting. Just watching them laugh. The boys chased each other around the jungle gym. The little girl sat reading under a tree. His daughter. Lena didn't wave. Didn't call him over. But she saw something in his eyes she hadn't seen before. Not pride. Not pity. Something raw. Longing. Still, she turned her back. Some things are easier left untouched. That night, Lena visited her sister, Nicole. You saw him? Nicole asked, pouring wine. He didn't come close. But he wants to. Lena rubbed her temples. It's too late. Nicole raised an eyebrow. Is it? Or are you scared he might still mean something? I'm not scared of him, Lena said. Nicole smiled. No. You're scared of you. Lena said nothing. Because deep down, she was terrified of wanting him to stay. Meanwhile, Preston sat in his living room, phone in hand. He'd dialed her number. She didn't answer. He left a voicemail. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I was a coward. I thought walking away would hurt less than staying and failing. I want to try. Even if you never let me close again, I need them to know me. And I need to know them. He hung up. And waited. And waited. But the phone never rang. When someone wants a second chance, is silence a form of strength, or self-protection? Have you ever kept someone out because it was safer than letting them back in? Comment your thoughts. You might help someone wrestling with their own silence. 3 days later, a storm rolled in over the city, unexpected and brutal. Sirens wailed. The school sent emergency messages. Lena was on base, running a final field drill. Her phone vibrated like mad. When she finally checked it, her heart dropped. School emergency evac due to flooding. Children relocated to safe site at Langford Plaza. Langford Plaza. Preston's building. Her mind screamed no. But her boots were already in motion. The entire 52nd floor of Langford Plaza had been converted into a temporary safe space. Preston stood at the entrance, soaked in rain, directing staff to serve warm food and hand out dry blankets. When he saw Lena in the elevator, he froze. She walked straight past him to her kids, who ran into her arms like magnets. Are you okay? She asked, running hands through their wet hair. They nodded. The girl looked up at her. He brought us muffins. Lena shot a look at Preston. How noble. I didn't plan this, he said quietly. I know, she replied. That's the terrifying part. Later, as the storm howled outside, the kids napped on makeshift cots in a corner office. Lena stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes lost in rain. Preston stepped in behind her. He handed her a cup of tea. I had this made how you like it. She stared at it. You remember? Everything, he said, voice raw. They stood in silence. Then she turned to face him. Why didn't you come back when I told you I was pregnant? His eyes dropped. I didn't believe it. Or maybe I didn't want to believe it. I wasn't ready to be anything but powerful. And now? I'm not powerful anymore. Just empty. Something flickered in her eyes. But she said nothing. He sat beside her as thunder cracked overhead. You know, she whispered, they ask about you. All the time. Do they know who I am? They know someone who looks like them is out there. I'd give anything to fix that. She looked down at her tea. Some things don't fix. They scar. But even scars mean healing started, he said. She blinked at him. You read again? She asked, a small smile tugging her lips. I never stopped. She let the silence linger. Then. They deserve a father, she said. He looked up. But not another heartbreak. That night, as the wind rattled windows and children shifted in their sleep, Lena stood at the doorway, watching her kids. Preston approached slowly. Can I say goodnight? She hesitated. Then nodded. He knelt beside them. Whispered something. The little girl opened her eyes just enough to smile. Then she whispered, "Good night, Daddy." Lena's breath caught. She didn't correct her. She couldn't. Preston looked at her. His eyes were wet. She didn't look away this time. And for a single moment, they weren't enemies. Just two people, who loved the same small souls more than they hated the past. Morning came quiet and gray. The storm had passed, but the shelter still buzzed with backup plans and cleanup crews. Lena awoke on the office couch, her boots on, mind stiff with unease. Preston sat across the room, watching the rain-soaked skyline, a cup of coffee in hand. Sleep okay? He asked, gently. She rubbed her eyes. Like a rock. You. He chuckled. Barely. Too many ghosts. She looked at him. Tell me one. He hesitated. Then. I remember the night you told me you were pregnant. I had just closed that tech merger, the one that made us rich. And you were glowing. Scared. But happy. She said nothing. I wasn't, he whispered. I was terrified. I saw everything I'd built slipping through my fingers. You saw me as a threat, she said. Not a partner. He didn't deny it. Lena reached into her duffel bag and pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. She handed it to him. What's this? He asked. Everything I wanted to tell you, but didn't. He opened it. First page. To the man who left before the best part started. He flipped through. Letters. Pages and pages of unsent letters. From hospital beds. From sleepless nights. From deployment. Words she never had the chance, or the courage, to say. I hated you when I saw our daughter take her first step and you weren't there. I still sleep on the right side. Old habits die hard. I wanted you to fight for me. You just walked away. Tears welled in his eyes. Why didn't you send this? Because by the time I finished writing it, I didn't believe you'd read it. I was going to come back, he said, his voice trembling. After I calmed down. After I figured myself out. But you didn't, she said. He nodded slowly. No. I didn't. I saw your name in the email subject line, and I deleted it. Without opening. Lena's mouth parted in disbelief. You deleted it? He looked down in shame. I was a coward. I thought silence would hurt you less than my failure. You thought not knowing would hurt less, she asked, standing now, voice rising. I gave birth alone. I cried every time one of them said, "Where's my daddy?" And you, what? Played God in a boardroom? He didn't argue. He just stood there. Shaking. I hated you, she said, softer now. And I loved you. At the same time. For years. He closed his eyes. So did I. She sat down again. Her voice calmer now. You want to know if they're yours? He nodded. They are. His breath caught. All three. She nodded. Why didn't you demand a test? She looked him dead in the eye. Because I didn't need one. And neither did they. He swallowed hard. Can I be a part of their life? She studied him. And for the first time, he didn't look like the CEO. He looked like a father. A broken one. But ready. I don't know what part you can play, she said. But you can start by just showing up. I will. Not for me, she added. For them. He nodded again. For them. That afternoon, Preston walked the triplets home from the shelter with Lena. He held the youngest boy's hand. Told him a story about the stars. Lena watched him. She didn't trust him yet. But maybe. Maybe trust starts somewhere. Maybe it starts right here. A week later, Lena opened her apartment door to find Preston standing there, not with roses or apology speeches, but with 2 pizza boxes and a 6-pack of juice. The boys told me they like pepperoni, he said. They also told me they think you look like Iron Man, she replied, folding her arms. He grinned. Guilty as charged. She rolled her eyes and let him in. The living room buzzed with noise, triplets laughing, coloring on the floor, music playing low in the background. Preston sat cross-legged beside them, a paper crown one of the boys made perched crookedly on his head. Lena stood in the kitchen, watching the moment unfold like something stolen from a dream she stopped letting herself have. Later that evening, they played a board game. He helped the little girl place the last piece of a puzzle, and she whispered, "You're really tall." "Are all dads tall?" Preston smiled. "Just the really cool ones." The boy with glasses tugged at Lena's sleeve. "Can he come again tomorrow?" She looked at Preston. And something in her softened. "We'll see," she said. But she already knew. Once the kids were asleep, Lena stepped onto the balcony. Preston joined her, 2 mugs of tea in hand. "This feels weird," she said. "What does?" "You." "Here." Laughing. Smiling. Making paper crowns. He chuckled. "I forgot how much I liked hearing your laugh." She didn't smile. But she didn't pull away either. "I'm not the same girl you left," she said. "I'm not the same guy who left," he replied. A silence. Comfortable, for once. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we'd stayed?" she asked quietly. "All the time," he said. "But wondering doesn't change what we missed." "No," she said. "But maybe it helps us not miss what comes next." He looked at her. Really looked at her. Her hair was pulled into a braid, strands falling loose from the long day. She wore a worn hoodie and faded jeans, and still, she looked more beautiful than any model he'd seen at corporate galas. "You're still Lena," he said. "And you're still a cheeseball," she shot back. They both laughed. And for a brief, perfect second, they were the couple they used to be. Before silence. Before pride. Before everything fell apart. As he grabbed his coat to leave, one of the boys came out sleepy-eyed. "Are you coming tomorrow?" Preston glanced at Lena, who said nothing. He knelt. "If your mom says it's okay." The boy looked at her. She hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah. He can come." The boy smiled and wrapped his arms around Preston's neck. Preston closed his eyes. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was beginning. It started with a phone call. Lena was helping the boys with homework when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered out of instinct. "Staff Sergeant Carter. This is Melissa Haynes from the New York Chronicle. We're running a story on single veterans raising children alone, especially those abandoned by former spouses in power. I'd love a quote, or maybe a photo." Lena froze. Excuse me? Oh, didn't Preston tell you? He authorized the background. We just wanted a real angle. She hung up. Her heart hammered. The kids looked at her. She walked straight out the door. Preston opened the door smiling. Hey, I was just about to. You told a reporter, she hissed. His smile vanished. What? No, I mean, I approved a legacy piece for the company's veterans outreach. They want to use me. Us. The kids. For your redemption arc. His face fell. That's not what it is. Then what is it, Preston? She snapped. You're playing Father of the Year while still signing checks with your brand. That's not fair. You're right. It's merciful, she seethed. Because if I were being fair, I'd remind you that you never earned this story. I'm trying to, he shouted back. Trying doesn't erase abandonment. Do you think just being here now makes up for the years you weren't? She yelled. No, he said quietly. But it's more than never coming at all. Her voice cracked. You left me. Pregnant. Alone. Do you know what it's like to give birth and not have anyone's hand to hold but your own? He didn't answer. She stepped back. Tears in her eyes now. I let you in, just a little. And you made me feel stupid for it. He tried to reach for her hand. She pulled away. Don't touch me. She turned to leave. He called out, so what, Lena? I just disappear again. Is that what you want? No, she said. I want to know that when I let you stay, you'll still be here when it gets hard. Not when it gets headline-worthy. He flinched. The words hit harder than any slap. Maybe I'm not strong enough for that, he said, voice barely a whisper. She looked at him, her expression unreadable. Then do them a favor, she said, stepping outside into the cold, and don't pretend to be. The door shut between them. Harder than last time. That night, the triplets asked, is Daddy coming tomorrow? Lena swallowed. No, baby. Why not? She didn't answer. She just kissed their foreheads and turned out the light. Then sat alone in the kitchen. And cried. Because she wasn't angry anymore. She was tired. Tired of hoping. Tired of forgiving. Tired of loving someone who keeps finding ways to leave, even when they're standing right there. Preston sat in the nursery. Not his office. Not his penthouse. Just a spare room in a home he barely touched. He stared at the baby book Lena had left behind once, accidentally. 3 footprints. 3 names. No father listed. He ran his fingers over the blank space where his name could have gone. And whispered, I wasn't ready. Then. But I am now. Lena lay awake. No sounds. No movement. Just the hum of the heater and the ache in her chest. She thought of him laughing with the kids. Of the way he whispered, good night, Daddy. Of how her hand almost reached for his that night on the balcony. And how fast she'd pulled it back. She hadn't just been scared of him hurting the kids. She'd been scared of him hurting her again. But now. She wasn't scared anymore. Just, uncertain. Preston sat down at the kitchen table. He pulled out a piece of paper. And began writing. I won't ask for your forgiveness. I haven't earned it. I won't promise I'll be perfect. I can't. But if love is showing up, I'll be there. Whether I get to be Dad or just the man who never stops trying. I miss what we could have been. But I believe in what we still might become. P. He folded it gently. Left it under her doormat. And walked away. The next morning, Lena opened the door to take out the trash. She almost didn't see it. The envelope. Her name written in his handwriting. No stamp. No address. Just, him. She stood on the porch, opened it slowly. And read every word. Twice. The kids were eating cereal inside, singing a silly song about a purple dragon. She watched them for a moment. Then walked to her phone. Paused. And dialed. Preston's phone buzzed as he stood in the middle of a hardware store aisle, looking at bunk bed blueprints. He saw her name. Heart stuttered. He answered. Hello. Lena's voice was soft. Measured. You free tonight? He blinked. Yes. Anything. Just dinner. With them. No speeches. No gifts. No flash. His throat tightened. Okay. And Preston? Yeah. Don't be late. He smiled. I won't be. And he meant it. The apartment smelled like garlic bread and laughter. Lena set out the plates while the kids piled onto the couch, arguing about which superhero could eat the most spaghetti. Preston knocked softly. No suit this time. Just jeans. A worn sweater. A single sunflower in hand. Lena opened the door. No sarcasm. No walls. Just, you're on time. He smiled. I wasn't going to be late. Not again. They ate together for the first time since everything changed. The boys asked Preston about spaceships. The girl asked him how tall he was, in real inches. He answered every question with wonder, not performance. Lena watched. Still cautious. But present. I made a picture, the girl said after dinner, running to her backpack. She came back with a crayon drawing. 5 stick figures. 3 kids. 1 in uniform. 1 in a hoodie. They were all holding hands. Preston looked at it for a long time. Then looked at Lena. No words. Just eyes that finally, truly, saw. Over the next few weeks, Preston showed up. Not just for dinners, but for messy mornings. Dentist visits. School recitals. Lego disasters. He didn't try to be perfect. He just tried to be there. He read bedtime stories. He learned how to braid. He burned pancakes and called it an experiment. And slowly, the triplets stopped calling him that man. And started calling him Dad. 6 months later, the city held another tribute. Veterans. Families. Flags. Lena stood tall in her uniform. But this time, she didn't march alone. Preston stood at the edge of the parade route, waving wildly at the triplets as they held tiny signs. And Lena? She marched straight up to him after the final salute. Saluted him. He returned it, sloppy, emotional, imperfect. She smiled. Nice form. He laughed. I've been practicing. The triplets ran to them, hugging both parents at once. Preston looked at Lena. I don't want this to be a chapter, he said. I want it to be the story. She looked at the kids. Then at him. You're going to have to keep showing up. I will, he said. She then took his hand. A small gesture. But the beginning of everything. Later that night, they sat on the couch, Lena curled against his shoulder, the kids asleep in a tangle of limbs and blankets. The TV played quietly in the background. He turned to her. Do you ever think we got lucky? She shook her head. No. We fought for this. He kissed her forehead. I'm not leaving again. I know, she whispered. And she believed it. Finally. Have you ever had to rebuild something from broken pieces? Did it make the love stronger, or harder to trust? Drop your thoughts below. Because someone out there might need to hear exactly what you've lived through. If this story moved you, really moved you, click like, subscribe, and share it with someone who still believes in second chances. Because sometimes, the love that's meant for you, doesn't leave. It learns to stay.